Who's your favorite women's basketball player?
Caitlyn Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like Paige Bueckers?
No, she's okay.
The Paige Bueckers, Caitlyn Clark comparisons are in full swing, and everyone, even Luka, has something to say. Fresh off her March Madness triumph and going #1 overall in the draft, the expectations are sky-high for Paige heading into her first pro season. Some in the media say Paige is a better all-around player than Caitlyn. They point to her college championship, while of course Caitlyn's fans are dropping every metric imaginable, including ticket prices. And things just got even more heated now that ESPN released their prediction for Paige's stats. We'll get into that in a minute. But basketball is more than just fame and points per game. In just the past few days, we've gotten a few sound bites and snapshots to prove it. Things were said by both players that, intentionally or not, stirred the pot and got both fan bases worked up all over again.
I'm going to be honest. Paige Bueckers well and truly has given ammo to, the biggest Paige Bueckers haters.
But Paige's interview with Time magazine stirred up the most debate. She was asked point blank about the Caitlyn Clark comparisons. While some liked her response, others say it could be the ultimate tell of how this comparison will play out over time, especially when you compare it to what Caitlyn said just after. Let's get into the quotes, the reactions, and of course, the stat predictions. But first, like this video if you cannot wait for these two to finally face off in Dallas at an NBA arena because of Caitlyn.
So far, there's already statistical evidence, actual analytics, facts don't care about your feelings, showing that no, she is not moving the needle in women's sports or women's basketball nearly to the effect of Caitlyn Clark.
I'm not here to give you a 30-minute stat dump comparing Paige Bueckers and Caitlyn Clark. You've seen that before. So here's what matters. Both Paige and Caitlyn were electric from the moment they stepped on a college court. They came into the NCAA at the same time, lit up highlight reels, and were destined to be compared from day one. Not because they're the same player, but because they were the best. But they took very different paths.
Two-man again was strong. The step-back three, and hits it! First half against Arkansas State, she's taken matters into her own hands here. Spins and hits her fifth. Bueckers left unattended. Money.
Paige was the golden child of UConn, the most storied program in women's college basketball, playing under the legendary Gino Auriemma. She lived up to the hype right away, winning National Player of the Year as a freshman. Then, after a rough few years of injuries, she roared back to help lead her team to a national championship in 2025. Her story is one of grit, talent, and finally, redemption. So yeah, Paige has earned every bit of praise. But Caitlyn? That's a whole different level. Early in this ball game, looking to settle in with the screen, Clark needs no room. I don't know this team and the grit and the pride and the toughness, and Caitlyn Clark knocks down the three. Caitlyn Clark didn't just lead Iowa to back-to-back national title games. She rewrote the record books along the way. She became the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, not just in women's basketball, but across both men's and women's. That alone put her in rare air. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers missed a full year recovering from a torn ACL, which gave Caitlyn a head start heading into the WNBA. And well, we all saw what happened next.
Clark thought about pulling up from three, will dip inside and lay it in.
Caitlyn coming off that 20-point performance right here, handling the physicality of Aniza Lane.
Clark, step back three, knocks it down.
Caitlyn didn't just enter the league, she exploded into it. She dragged a lottery team to the playoffs, broke 62 WNBA records, led the league in assists, and instantly became the face of women's basketball. Her rookie season was a cultural earthquake. And now, the Paige versus Caitlyn comparisons are back, and louder than ever.
He just calls it like he sees it right here. You see this, 18.9 million viewers. Paige Bueckers, 8.5 million viewers.
They started with the March Madness ratings. And when you look at the numbers, Caitlyn didn't just win. She dominated. In 2024, Caitlyn's NCAA championship game between Iowa and South Carolina pulled in 18.9 million viewers, with a peak audience of 24 million. Fast forward to 2025. Paige Bueckers led UConn to a title. Big moment, absolutely. But the viewership? Not even in the same league. Then came the WNBA draft.
With the first pick in the 2025 WNBA draft, the Dallas Wings select Paige Bueckers.
Both were selected number 1 overall, Caitlyn to the Fever in 2024, Paige to the Wings in 2025. But Caitlyn's draft shattered records, with 2.45 million viewers on ESPN, making it the most-watched WNBA draft of all time. Paige's draft? It didn't come close. From ratings to revenue to raw attention, Caitlyn's been in a different orbit from day one. And then you have the chatter from league executives.
It's really hard to impact the game as a rookie. One GM said, what Caitlyn did last year was so special and unique. Paige is a special player. I think she'll be a good player this year, but I'm not expecting a Caitlyn-like impact, and it's an unfair bar to set. Yes, obviously.
Behind the scenes, WNBA general managers have been pretty candid, anonymously, of course. Multiple reports suggest they believe Paige Bueckers will be a great player with the potential to become an all-star, and maybe even a Hall of Famer someday. But almost universally, they agree on one thing. She's not going to be Caitlyn Clark. And now we've got the numbers to feed the fire. ESPN just dropped their rookie season projections for Paige Bueckers, and let's just say, it's got people talking. They've got her averaging 16.5 points, for 0.5 rebounds, for 0.1 assists, 1.8 steals, 0.8 blocks, 51% from the field, 82.2% from the line. Now, let's be real, for a rookie, that's an excellent stat line. Scoring over 16 a game? That's not just promising, that's all-star territory. But of course, when you stack it up against Caitlyn Clark's actual rookie stats, you get a clearer picture of why the hype for Clark was on another level. Caitlyn finished her rookie season with 19.2 points, 5.7 rebounds, 8.4 assists, 1.3 steals, 0.7 blocks, 41.7% from the field, 90.6% from the line. She did all that while breaking 62 records and dragging a last-place team to the playoffs. So while Paige's projections are strong, Caitlyn's already done it, and more. The bar has been raised. Now the question is, can Paige match it? Or is the gap between great and generational just that wide? Well, the answer may lie in these sound bites from recent interviews.
And Paige Bueckers was talking about feels the comparison between herself and Clark are media driven. She intends to focus on herself throughout her rookie year. They play the same position, they're the same age. I'm sorry. Yes, the comparisons are media driven, but they're media driven because you play the same position, you are the same age, and you're saying, yeah, it's narrative driven. But by that logic, LeBron versus Kobe debates in the 2000s were narrative driven. Of course they were. Every debate is narrative driven. Every debate is media driven.
A new interview with Time magazine just dropped, and Paige Bueckers finally addressed the never-ending comparisons to Caitlyn Clark. That's what the media cares about, Bueckers said. That's what everybody who watches basketball cares about. I used to be bothered by it, but I've done so much work on myself and my approach, the ability to not run a race in comparison to run my own race and worry about that. Caitlyn's a phenomenal player. We're also completely different players. While it doesn't seem like much on the surface, fans and analysts were quick to call her out.
But ability only gets you so far. There's a reason why we've seen guards. There's a reason why Jordans, the Kobes, the LeBrons are the all-time greats. There's a reason for all that. And there's a reason why there are players that would have had similar ability to them in their teens and early 20s that were great, were really good, but were not that level.
Sure, Paige and Caitlyn aren't the same style of player, but let's not ignore the obvious. They play the same position. This isn't like comparing Caitlyn and Angel Reese, where one is primarily a defensive anchor and the other's dropping logo threes and dishing dimes. This is a straight-up point guard comparison. Same age, same role, same expectations. And that's exactly why Bueckers' quote raised some eyebrows. Yes, it may have been diplomatic. Yes, it may have been honest. But let's be real, It didn't land like a competitor ready to take over the league. And saying the comparisons used to bother her? That doesn't scream, give me the ball, I'm taking over. That sounds more like someone still working through the pressure of the spotlight. Exactly the kind of spotlight that Caitlyn Clark owns.
So far, there's already statistical evidence, actual analytics, facts don't care about your feelings, showing that no, she is not moving the needle in women's sports or women's basketball nearly to the effect of Caitlyn Clark.
It's true. The best players don't flinch when the spotlight hits. They lean into it. They don't dodge the comparisons. They don't shrug off the expectations. They own them, because that's what greatness demands. And if there's one athlete who knows what it's like to carry the weight of a sport on her back, it's Caitlyn Clark. When Caitlyn Clark entered the WNBA, no rookie had ever carried a bigger target on their back. The microscope was massive. The scrutiny, unrelenting. Every move, every shot, every word was dissected. And yet, she pushed through it. She didn't just survive the pressure. She thrived in it. Set records. Led her team to the playoffs. Proved every doubter wrong. But now, after a blockbuster offseason where the Fever reloaded with championship-caliber talent, the pressure isn't easing up. It's skyrocketing, especially after this.
And Paige Bueckers was talking about feels the comparison between herself and Clark are media-driven. She intends to focus on herself throughout her rookie year. They play the same position. They're the same age. I'm sorry. Yes, the comparisons are media-driven, but they're media-driven because you play the same position, you are the same age, and you're saying, yeah, it's narrative-driven. But by that logic, LeBron versus Kobe debates in the 2000s were narrative-driven. Of course they were. Every debate is narrative-driven. Every debate is media-driven.
So if you thought we arrived, 2 more for Boston, now you know. We're not here for the moment. We're here for the takeover. We've never seen a campaign this bold, this confident, and this unapologetically dominant. The Indiana Fever's Now You Know campaign isn't just a marketing move. It's a declaration. It's putting every other team on notice that the Fever aren't just here to compete. They're here to take over. And yeah, it puts a target on their backs. Every team is going to bring their A game. Every road game will feel like a playoff game. But that's exactly how the Fever want it.